Extinction Rebellion, the global group campaigning to stop climate change, has told the BBC it is facing a concerted effort to discredit it and deter people from taking part in its protests in Britain. This includes being labelled as an extremist ideology by counter-terrorism police, leading to the organisation featuring on a list of radical groups, including Islamist extremists. Richard Galpin reports.
They can be up there for a long, long time. It's a nice, safe place for somebody to sleep up there.
High up in the trees of the Colne Valley Regional Park near Uxbridge, Extinction Rebellion activists are protesting at plans to clear the woodland so construction work for HS2 can get underway.
And they're going to put a bridge over this ford. The trees are ancient woodland. We've got willows, oaks.
This one among many different campaigns around the country. And like the large-scale protests last year, there are plans for more in May to demand the government step up efforts to tackle climate change. But organisers are worried.
The purpose of this meeting is to review what we're seeing in terms of attacks that we're getting in the media and elsewhere.
In a small office with tea and croissant provided, Extinction Rebellion's media and legal teams discuss how to counter what they believe are attempts to undermine the movement.
Doing around this Times article, which suggested that Roger Hallam, co-founder of Extinction Rebellion, suggesting that he was advocating for violence.
The most serious being designated as an extremist organisation in a document produced by the South East Counter-Terrorism Police Unit last year, but only recently revealed and then subsequently withdrawn. Apparently it said teachers, health workers and others should look out for people who speak out in strong or emotive terms about climate change. Extinction Rebellion's UK spokesperson, Ronan McNern, describes this as chilling.
Would you get involved with something if you're going to be added to a list and then you don't know what's going to happen? Or that when you go abroad, then, you know, when you put your passport in, it might ding because you've been at a protest, or be reported to prevent, and you might risk losing your job or something. These are real life consequences. That's just wrong.
The fear that people involved in what's described as a non-violent protest movement could be reported to prevent the government's de-radicalisation programme is particularly worrying, according to the human rights organisation Liberty. Its policy and campaign manager, Gracie Bradley, told me part of the problem was that extremism wasn't properly defined.
When you look at what the government's Prevent programme is concerned with, which is non-violent extremism, what we see is that extremism is defined incredibly broadly. So it's active or vocal opposition to fundamental British values. So lots of people have been keen to say that the designation of Extinction Rebellion was a mistake. In our view, unfortunately, it wasn't a mistake. This was the government's counter-terror policy working as intended. That definition is so broad that it's essentially meaningless and could sweep up just about anyone, depending on who the government has decided holds the wrong views.
Around the same time as Extinction Rebellion was labelled extremist, another police force, City of London, described it as a key threat. And the centre-right think tank Policy Exchange here in central London produced a report saying Extinction Rebellion's methods needed to be confronted and challenged rather than supported.
At its core, the campaign supports an overturning of the existing economic, social and political order and an end to the free market. It may engage in violence at some point.
But when I met Dean Hayden, the Senior National Coordinator for Counter-Terrorism Policing, he was keen to play down this kind of pressure being put on Extinction Rebellion.
I do not see them as an extremist group. There is no such designation list as you refer in relation to extremist groups. There is a list of prescribed organisations which are available through government websites, but I do not see Extinction Rebellion as an extremist group. They are a lawful protest, a legitimate group.
And yet, the number of negative media stories about the movement is increasing in what is a key year, with the UN Climate Change Summit due to take place in Glasgow in November. And Extinction Rebellion could come under much more pressure if its upcoming protests cause disruption in major cities, not least as the Home Office and Metropolitan Police are working on increasing the powers the police have to deal with peaceful but unlawful protests.
Richard Galpin reporting there.